We've gone from waiting 3 months for Outlast Trials content to drop to being blessed with major updates being rolled out pretty quickly, and it's now time for Season 3. But time for a quick recap of Season 2 first. Yeah, we're jumping straight in. Please be aware that this video will contain spoilers for the Outlast Trials and for Outlast 2. At the end of Season 1, we heard the murmurings of something happening at Seaon, and it was revealed that someone had escaped the confines of the trial environments, Amelia. If you want a long video explaining all the Season 1 lore, I've got you covered. But Season 2 began with Project Breach, and during the full course of Season 2 we got a new trial environment downtown, a new deluxe catalogue full of cosmetics to unlock, additional MK challenges, the Amelia story arc, 5 motion comics, a new X-Pop called The Pitcher, a new rig called The Jammer, new amps provided by Doris, and the programme's Winter Kills 2.0, Under Surveillance, and of course last week's escape event, which brought Season 2 to a close. In terms of the lore, we got a new conclusion, and this showed the reagent in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it's thought that our reagent had something to do with the assassination or capture of Patrice Lumumba, who was someone that was on the CIA's radar due to his wish for the Congo to be independent from European or Belgian rule, which the CIA feared would drive Congo, along with other African nations seeking independence, straight into the arms of the Soviets. And of course the Congo had uranium-rich mines, and this mineral was wanted by the USA and the Soviets, so Africa itself had become a hotbed of Cold War activity. During Season 2 we got a lot more leaked documents, and these gave us background on the Night Hunter and the new Pitcher X-Pop. This is also when we started to find out more about Amelia's plan to destroy Murkoff, with people rallying to her cause, and we found out about Reagent 1733 having carved the word egregore into a corpse in one of the trial environments before she was killed by X-Pops. In one of the conversations with her, 1733 mentioned the name Moses, and an already paranoid and strung out Easterman presumed that she was talking about Moses Scarfiotti, the architect of the trials there at Seaon, who has been at odds with Easterman since the beginning. It's also revealed that Easterman had started seeing things, such as tendrils of fungus. It's also in Season 2 that we learn more about Doris' relationship with Henrietta, her getting injured in a trial, getting turned into a heavy X-Pop, and her later being presumed dead after she attacked Coil, as she wasn't able to be brought under control by the Prime Asset's charismatic aura. We discovered that Amelia had gone to Seaon on purpose looking for her boyfriend Damon Green, who had gotten lured in by one of Murkoff's charitable outreach programs, and who was murdered by Clyde Perry whilst trying to get information in regard to Amelia from him. Amelia seeing this happen to Damon only enraged her further. Throughout Season 2, Amelia would leave messages encouraging reagents in the trials to rise up against Murkoff, to fight them. She'd left messages on the director's radio. She hacked into the shuttle broadcasts, telling reagents to be ready and to look for the date. A date was revealed, April 8th, although this was a real-world date and indicated something significant taking place. Murkoff in response increased surveillance, and this was an attempt to draw Amelia out. The reagents would collect blueprints for her, and she would use these to sabotage the sleep room terminals. Then the plan was underway. If you want to see my breakdown of the escape event, then go and check out the video linked up here. In terms of Easterman, we also saw that he had a meltdown, long time coming. This was after having all documents found in the trial environment sent to him, and finding out that the reason behind his brother Stanley Easterman's self-death was not what he originally thought it was, and that the basis for his therapy was flawed, and that Murkoff knew that when they recruited him. Anyway, crucially, and in an almost haunting manner, after he had barricaded himself in his office and had been restrained, Easterman came out on the other side with a newfound, and quite surprising, clarity. He quoted the Bible talking about the reagents being comparable to God's chosen people of Judah turning from him, along with promising an even deeper and more invasive form of therapy. We also saw him blackmail Avianos about her secret relationship with Murkoff's CIA contact Jameson Lawler, which he'd found out about thanks to the documents. Easterman suspected that Avianos and Perry would try to pin the responsibility for Amelia's escape onto him. That was pretty much the end of the under surveillance event at Seaon. Then came the showdown between Clyde and Amelia. After weeks of hunting Amelia down, Clyde had finally got a break and found some red paint on a lever for the trial shuttle switching system. Long story short, after the escape, Clyde returned to the lever and found Amelia there. He shot her through the leg, and she said that she had always knew that she was going to die there at Seaon the moment they killed Damon. To which Clyde gloated and said that he killed Damon. Amelia then baited Clyde to step on a blinding mine, smacked him around the head with a brick. He was run over by a trial shuttle, and this cut Clyde in two, basically. Easterman approached Clyde, stating that he knew Clyde had found out that he was the one that authorized the shuttle switching system, and that this gap in security was being touted as a primary part of Amelia's plan. Amelia was then caught by Murkoff's security staff shortly afterwards and was patched up, and they also had plans for Henrietta. This moves us into what is now the start of Season 3, and we've got plenty of new documents to talk about here. One document I need to introduce here is this one, from the Escape Fallout storyline, and it showcases a reason why Easterman might be feeling this clarity. It's related to Kress Chemical. Previously we spoke about Dr. Kusamura, the former Unit 731 scientist, who wrote to Easterman on the 17th of April regarding Kress Chemical, saying Kress inspired the toxic shock trials. It seems that Easterman did in fact authorise the Kress request that Kusamura was talking about, and on the 23rd of April, the day before they caught Amelia, Easterman took one of the Kress concoctions. He reveals it's something called bufotenine, but it's Kress's own formula and that it's distilled from the urine of schizophrenics. So, bufotenine has a history of being used to induce trance states. It's usually derived from bufotoxins, which are found in the glands of different species of toads. It's been used medically in order to simulate psychotic disease states in psychiatric study. But of course, in this case, as just mentioned, it was discovered in the urine of schizophrenics. Easterman calls it potent, and naturally he starts tripping balls. He had discovered a newfound motivation to stop the bleeding and to find Amelia. Another new storyline is titled After the Escape, and naturally it shows the aftermath of everything that has just happened. It's reported to the board that Murkoff Rising star Clyde Perry has been killed in action. Death confirmed. An investigation is to be ordered into his death, and he will continue to hold his title until they are able to publicly release a suitable cause of death. I'd imagine that chasing down a reagent in a CIA-backed torture trauma farm would raise a lot of questions. This, I guess, answers the question as to why his role was held until 1961 on his portrait. An urgent update is then put out to all staff, stating that Amelia has been captured and she's currently being interrogated and questioned in order to find out who her collaborators are. This makes me very nervous for Noakes, since he helped her, as seen in the motion comics. But back in the sleep room, reagents are terrified, and this is as Amelia has been strung up, and just as Avianos wanted, she's being made an example of. She appears to have a gas tank attached to her, with a mask delivering gas to her, and this is likely keeping her under psychosis. Maybe this links into the previous documents regarding Kress Chemical. What gas concoction could they be pumping into her? Easterman journals again, and he states that he allowed himself to get flustered. He's presumably referring to his epic meltdown. He likens himself to an artist. He speaks about Clyde being his nasty little bloodhound, and speaks about Amelia being strung up in the sleep room. Amelia is, of course, still alive, and Murkoff probably know that they can't just kill her straight away or she'll become a martyr. I mean, this is more than likely part of Amelia's plan anyway. She probably knew that she would be caught at some point, but her only goal was to destroy Murkoff. Now, this new storyline, titled New Covenants, makes me the most excited. On the same day that Amelia had been captured, Easterman, Scarfiotti and Avianos are in a meeting and are discussing how to contain the breach. Scarfiotti asks how long Amelia can live up there, and Easterman says that they'll find out, with Avianos saying that they are there for the science. Scarfiotti is slightly taken aback by the brutality of his colleagues, but nonetheless, Easterman says that he thinks that she'll survive for a while, given how long she was able to survive inside the walls. Scarfiotti calls Amelia's sleep room Jesus, something that Easterman hints will be Murkoff's very own method of discouraging the reagents from ever trying to escape him again. Avianos says that the Murkoff board are asking about Perry, but Easterman says that he'll handle them. It's pretty much confirmed here that Perry has provided them with the perfect scapegoat for Amelia's little uprising, as his own lapses allowed her to escape in the first place. Scarfiotti mumbles something, but Easterman shifts focus onto their naughty little reagents. So according to a Murkoff memorandum, the route out has now been terminated, and that means no more escapees. Easterman has now shut down all of the reagent release and exit trial programs too, and no one's getting out until they are better. He wants the reagents to become addicted to the therapy, so much so that they won't want release, that they'll never want to leave him at all. He aims to do this by giving them more control of their therapy. But anyway, back to the meeting. Scarfiotti says that giving the reagents choice over their trial designs will allow them to get lazy and to cut corners. Easterman pushes back, saying that he's merely giving them the rope to hang themselves along with one another. Avianos brings focus back to the reagents and says that they need to find the escape reagents, as hundreds managed to get out. Then, Easterman pulls the records out on reagent 1616. Sullivan, Papa Noth. Easterman goes on to state that Noth is not far from Signala. He's in Albuquerque as a matter of fact, and Easterman states that he's very susceptible to activation, and that old Papa Noth is shockingly charismatic, and as a result he's already built up quite the following. Easterman states that Murkoff can put this to better use and encourage a sense of mission in him, to make him a shepherd for all Murkoff's lost little sheep. Those of you that have been on this lore journey since Season 1 will remember that Clyde Perry followed Noth after his release from Sinyala and witnessed him claiming that he was a human compass whose headings converged to within 40 miles of Sinyala. But let me take you back to Outlast 2. Alright, so we know from Outlast 2 that Sullivan Noth was a shoe salesman until he got a bit gropey with a female customer. With debts, about to lose his home and with his life going nowhere, Noth listened to a preacher on the radio, but he disagreed with the parts of the message regarding fornication. Then, turning on a radio, Noth claimed to have heard a message hidden in the static, from God to him, which stated that he needed a brave new prophet to carry his message. He would preach on the streets. Now it's probably at this point that Easterman and Murkoff enacted their activation of Noth, as he'd already gotten his glut of followers at this point. But I guess we're not quite there in the Trials timeline yet. His followers then occupied a ranch owned by a wealthy woman named Lydia Dagan, at which point he wrote his gospel, the Gospel of Noth, and he encouraged the women of his cult to breed regularly, with him getting involved himself. This was until his cult fled from the ranch after police turned up to raid it due to safety concerns. They fled into the desert, but his church had lost everything. He took inspiration from Moses and Abraham and climbed a mountain, slitting open his eyeball, and had a vision of his church, which was a town deep in the desert. After driving off the tribes that were living on the land, the testament of the new Ezekiel was then established in 1971 in the town of Temple Gate. And as we know, the events of Outlast 2 then take place. The length of time Noth and his followers were in the wilderness is unknown, but this likely leads to Murkoff using the towers outside the facility to keep Noth and his followers under control. The fact that reagents that escaped could be kept under the charismatic sway of Noth and them joining his cult at Temple Gate is certainly an exciting development. It will be interesting to see how this storyline develops further during Season 3. But let's go back to Sinyala and discuss Henrietta, because, as mentioned, Murkoff had special plans for Henrietta. After Henrietta was captured, she was fitted with fixators which were screwed into the bone. These give some support but stop her bones from growing even more, which of course was a side effect of the hormone therapy that she was subjected to. Certain organs have grown bigger, and these are visible. She had a broadcast receiver installed in her headpiece, and through this, she is assigned a target reagent in the trials, and she will relentlessly pursue them. When she is in pursuit, you can hear someone on the other end giving her instructions to hunt down and to kill a target, and when she's got you, there's no escape. Unless, of course, you have an amp from Doris. You can occasionally hear the word execute. It's certainly possible that this signal could at some point be hijacked, and she could end up being used to attack the guards and the staff instead. According to her lore, the Jaeger seems to be suffering from something researchers term the Sinyala paradox, as she is finding comfort in her hopelessness. Her fixation on a single target is shown as being similar brain activity to someone looking for a potential mate. She still cries out for her Doris though. Maybe she is looking for her, and thinking maybe one of the reagents will be her. Lastly, on the Jaeger, it seems that staff are to be corrected on calling her Miss Lonely Heart. I guess because the observing scientists need to retain scientific objectivity, and therefore can't start to feel sorry for her. The final document we're going to look at is from way back in March 1957, and is a letter written by the late Clyde Perry, rest in pieces, to Arianos, while Clyde was in Buffalo, New York. Remember, prior to his role in historical refinement, he was Murkoff Collections, and he met and interviewed potential prime assets. The document's contents are related to Kress Chemical. It mentions a sighting of something known as the Buffalo Minotaur. Now, whether or not this is related to the aforementioned bufetinine and its related psychedelic properties remains to be seen, but basically, bodies started piling up around the 1940s, and at the time Clyde wrote this letter, the police were excavating the Kress estate. However, as the Kress family are quite prominent, therefore influential, and Kress Chemical is a key driver of the local economy, the authorities are sweeping the whole thing away. Clyde mentions Kress's relationship with Murkoff, so I guess this gives us some backstory on Kress Chemical, and again, I'm eager to see where this one leads as well. Perhaps Murkoff are helping get rid of the problem the Kress family have. It's certainly possible that this may be teasing a new prime asset, but watch this space. Lastly, there's a new game feature called Relapse. If you get to level 99, you get the option to reset to level 1 and Prestige if you like, with your very own Relapse plaque outside your room. I doubt there's going to be a lore reason behind relapsing other than Easterman wanting reagents to absorb even more therapy, but again I could be wrong, and I guess we'll find out. But that's it for this video on the Relapse update. In terms of gameplay features, one of the best updates in a long time, and the lore is heading in a really cool direction with its new ties to Temple Gate and to Sullivan Noth. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Leave a comment down below, but for now, take care and I will see you in the next one.